And we are live. Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the NRG Championship Series, where we are bringing you two showdowns this weekend. But before we start off, I need to introduce these two beautiful faces that you see on the screen. My name is Will Hall, better known on the internet as the Will Hall EXP, and carrying me one more time is going to be the coach himself, Mason Clark. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing well. I'm excited to be here. This is the last paper weekend of the NRG series for the year 2025, and I am so excited to see these players battle out in a team event today, Modern tomorrow. A lot of points on the line, a lot of invites, like you said. These showdowns, the winners go directly there, and it's a team event, Will. So you win this with your homies, you're all going to our end of the year championship event. It's going to be so exciting.
It's the best format of all. Well, let's be honest. I mean, I love playing modern, but then I also love playing with my friends. What's the best of both worlds? I get to play a team event. So that is what we're going to be doing today. It is a 10K showdown. So let's see what the prizes are going to look like for the teams that are able to, at the end of these 6 rounds, plus the cut to top 8, and what they're going to be taking away, what prizes they're going to be taking away. Talk you through it, Mason.
Yeah, so our first place team is going to get $3,000 and 30 points per player. The winner of today's team event also all get invited, but for the MVP and all of those sort of things, getting those player points is good. Second place team, as you can see on your screen, 1,525 player points. That's going to be huge. Those player points, as we're going to pull up really quickly here, is for our yearly and seasonal leaderboard. The players who do the best at those events will then qualify for an end of the year NRG Champs event with $25,000 in prizes, a pro tour invite, and free entry into all of next year events. It is going to be an awesome time happening here at the end of this year.
That's exactly what you want as a competitive player. You want to, sometimes results don't go your way, but if you stick to it, you grind out the events. This is what it really rewards those players for. Not only, yes, you can spike an event, take it down, great, but you want to, throughout the year, if you consistently do well, we will reward you. You'll get that end of year invite, and then you get to battle out again all that money, and of course that pro tour slot that you said, which is what we all want at the end of the day, right? We want to play on that big level. We want to play against the Reed Dukes of the world, go face to face, see if you can head up with them. But it looks like we've got some players that sat down on our feature match. So let's move down and see. I think they're just drawing their opening hands. We're going to start off in the modern seat because, let's be honest, Mason, it's my favorite format and we get to choose. So we've got Jeskai Blink versus Affinity. How does this match play out? What do you think? What sort of cards are they looking for in their opening hands?
Yeah, so Affinity is trying to really present these fast, overwhelming draws, right? Imagine sort of like Scam-esque from a couple of years ago. You're looking to do things like put 4 or 5 drones into play on the first turn or two. You're trying to put an early Kappa Cannoneer. Some builds of the deck are leading into Tamri Embry, to have a little bit extra long. Jeskai Blink is sort of your generic mid-rangey, grind them out kind of deck, as much as you can have one of those in Modern. It has fast take over the game draws, but it is sort of a deck that is just trying to accrue value, 1-for-1, take over the game. So from Cliffside, you're really hoping to kind of stabilize those early couple of turns, not fall too far behind, and then eventually you just will overrun your opponent with cards like Quantum Riddler being ephemerated, Flage, etc.
Right, players taking a mulligan down to 6. So you mentioned about we have to stop those early lines, those early plays. What sort of cards have we got that can do that to kind of short up so we can get to that mid to late game?
I mean, one of them is Solitude. Like if your opponent warps in one of the early creatures that generates a lot of drones, that is something that you can take down. They'll obviously get their first drone when they cast something, but that can sometimes be pretty huge, especially if you're on the play and you can then ephemerate to maybe take down the drone as well. Some of the builds do have cards like Force Negation in the main deck. A lot of them have in the sideboard. Those are kind of things we're looking for. And we're seeing Andrew here mulligan to 5 with the Affinity deck. The Affinity deck, depending on the build, can go fairly low, but it is a deck that wants to have a lot of pieces. So you're going to kind of, change your expectations as you go lower. But this deck can produce things like turn 2 Kappa Cannoneer, which are incredibly, incredibly strong. Yeah. And as they're going lower here, Cliff can kind of keep a bit of a riskier hand. Some of these decks, and it looks like from what I can see in Cliff's hand as well, main deck Consigned to Memory, which isn't the best thing in the world against his Affinity deck. It's very blue heavy, but sometimes consigning something like a Mox Opal when they're on a Mox draw can be good enough to really slow your opponent down.
I was just about to say, I'm looking at the list and 4 consigns in the main, and I'm going to throw out there, but I found out the hard way that you can't use that on Cannoneer.
Yeah, you cannot use that on Cannoneer.
Like everything these days is void. I'm like, sweet, great, I can get rid of it. No, that one is still blue and does nothing towards it.
You can consign the Ward trigger.
Yes, you can. So that helps your Solitudes, right?
Yeah, so you can make a 1 mana sort of like gotcha. And I mean, if you replicate 2, you could get rid of your Evoke trigger as well, right? Like evoke your Solitude, put it on bottom, target Kappa, Ward goes in the stack, boom, consign. There you go, 2 mana, save everything. So there are some tricky plays going on here with this deck.
Do you
Consign
think,
a little strong.
what do you think of the format at the minute? If you look at a lot of the decks, pretty much it's very rare now to find a deck that's not playing consigned to memory. Is that because of the format? Is that because of the power of the card? Like, or is that just the general decks at the minute? It's really good just stopping these triggered abilities.
A little A, a little B. I mean, part of this also comes into like this helps your Quantum Riddler not get warped away, right? So like not only is it a powerful sideboard option that does hit a randomly high amount of things, you now have one of your pivotal threat, or one of your marquee threats, excuse me, actually like have some synergies with this, along with Flage. We talked about this a lot when MH3 first came out because we saw that, you know, kind of Jeskai dress downy deck where they played a bunch of consigns, main and dress downs, and they would sometimes consign their own Flage's trigger for escape, right?
Mm-hmm.
This is something that that deck gets to do now along with Quantum Riddler. So you can have those turn 3 Riddlers. They get to stay in play. And then when you're pitch casting a bunch of cards, it's a really, really big thing. I think our players think they're waiting on us. We can let them know we can start whenever they're ready. We are down there. That's why they think they have these smiley faces. Thank you very much for waiting for coverage, but we are here. We're ready to see some gaming. But yeah,
might be some announcements. It might be might be making some announcements in the room. That's why we're kind of still, you know, not stalling a little bit, but the players are kind of waiting for the green light. We haven't got audio into the room, so we don't know. But we're going to earn our money, Nathan. We're going to talk about it a little bit more, looking at these deck lists, seeing what kind of sticks out to us. Quantum Riddler. Now, this card, I believe, sure, last time we knew we're casting, wasn't a card in Magic the Gathering. Mm-hmm. Now it is very much a card in Magic the Gathering, and a very good one at that. For the reasons you just did it with Consign as well. But just in general, 2 mana, draw a card, late game. I thought it was kind of like Evoke. When I first saw the card, I went, okay, so for 2 mana, I draw a card, it goes to the bin, great. And they're like, no, it kind of goes on its own little adventure. I was like, hold on a minute, this card is great.
Yeah, this card is really, really powerful. And I mean, just generally, this card does a thing I'm always really interested in whenever it's time to look at new cards, which is it doesn't ask a lot of you, right? This sort of just asks you to play Magic. And if you just play Magic and spend your cards like in a standard format, this card can really take over the game before you even look at synergies. And once you get into the synergies or the cheating of this card's mana cost, and you know, using something like Ephemerate or Consign to keep it in play on turn 3, then this card just runs away with things. And in formats like Modern, I've even seen some people try this in Legacy, but Modern, we've seen a lot of success of, hey, I'm pitch casting a lot of cards, right? Yeah, I'll pitch you know, evoke this Solitude or this Force Negation. Maybe it's more of a tempo of play than a high impact one, but now my Riddler's drawing 2. I'm moving through my deck. Boom, boom, boom. Swamp your opponent and resources and take over the game. It is very, very strong. If you have not played a lot versus this card, I think you'll be very impressed by it.
Yeah, the added text on there is the draw 2 bit, which we got a low hand size, but I'm sure we'll end up seeing that at some point over this morning. Because if you are just joining us, ladies and gentlemen, we are starting round number 1. We've got 6 rounds of Swiss Review today. Team action. That is going to be modern. That is going to be standard and sealed. It's Spider-Man sealed at that. And then later on today, we're going to have a draft and that top 8 for all these players, and they'll walk away with their share of $10,000. I think that is something that the kids talk about now, Mason. I don't know what it means. Yeah, I don't know what it means, but I saw it on South Park, and I was like, okay, it's got to be a meme of some description.
My understanding is that 6-7 basically doesn't mean anything, that it was like a line in a song that people just kind of like the line went hard. And so people just started saying it, and then it became like a thing that people say and like joke around about because people didn't understand what it really meant, you know? But I could be wrong. Who knows? Maybe that's just what they tell me. You know, I'm in my 30s now. I'm closer to 6-7. So.
I'm getting a lot closer to it. Next year, it's the big 4-0 for Will. So I'm definitely getting close to that one. Just finishing off all the announcements in the room, and then we will be kicking off this series. Let's get a look at this affinity deck quickly. Let me have a little look through this, because we were saying there's different ways to build this deck. Some of the teams that went to the RC had a slightly different build on this. This looks more traditional with Mem Knights and the weapons manufacturing. Talk to me about the other builds that we kind of saw at the RC the other weekend.
Yeah, I mean, we saw CFT Sock play a build of the deck that had Tamio Emery as the game is starting, sort of not leaning on Ornithopter Memnite for these super duper fast draws, but instead having a little bit of later game action to it, as it is starting up here now. So looks like just a Spirebluff Canal. Not the end of the world for Andrew. Sometimes this deck does want to burst out on turn 2 with Pinnacle Emissary in order to kind of get the most number of drones. But you are going to see like turn 2 is like a big turn typically for this deck. Also, weapon manufacturing could be there to generate a lot of extra attacks. So
Yeah, when I've played against this deck, I've seen them kind of almost sandbag the hand. Traditionally
Mhm.
with taught with the old affinity decks, we just have to put everything on the board. We split our hand out in one go, and then we kind of fight from there. This deck very different. Like it wants all those 0 mana cost ones later in the game, so when it does play in MSC or weapons manufacturing, so we can gain all that extra value from it. So just because we didn't have a turn 1 play doesn't mean that we're going to have not have an explosive turn 2 or turn 3. But over on the other side, we're going to go fetching. The only one drop I can imagine coming out of this deck was going to be a Ragavan, unless we're going to go for some crazy Solitude and Ephemerate line with nothing on the board. But I doubt we're going to see that.
Yeah, I mean, it looks like we got our Sacred Foundry here, so probably it's going to be Ragavan. This is a deck that does play for that card typically. And if we are playing the Memnite, Ornithopter build, well, Ragavan's going to be a lot worse. We'll have to see exactly what happens here. As Capicaneer was the draw for turn.
They always have it. They always have it. The namesake card of this deck, and you said it's so hard to beat this deck if it does come down on turn 2, turn 3. But it looks like no second land drop, so we're going to pass the turn back. Ragavan's going to connect. That's going to generate a treasure token. Top card is flipped awkwardly as a land. Normally, you want to see a spell off the top of your opponent's deck, but in this situation, when they're missing land, hitting their lands feels pretty good.
Yeah, especially this affinity deck does play a really low number of lands. Now, it does have Moxen, so like even though the deck list typically says 16, 17, it's really 20, 21. But still very awkward, as we are going to see them start to deploy their hand here for Andrew.
Maybe this is going to be a way for us to kind of generate some mana. So this is anything with affinity would now cost 3 less because we've got an engineered explosives. That is a crypt. What was the one underneath? Oh, Bauble, the
Yep.
new Bauble art
Crypt
that came
Bubble
out.
EE.
All foil as well by the looks of it.
Yeah.
Memnite. It's going to resolve. Forecast. 1 blue, draw 2. I'll take that.
And we talked about this deck playing a low land count. I mean, I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure, I guess I should say, that Andrew probably had 3 of those 4 zeros. And when on 5, it was a situation like if I draw a 0 or a land, I can thought cast on turn 2, right? And that's somehow like this part of how this deck can get away with less lands is the mana cost you get reduced, where these things act as lotus petals when it comes to improvising. So deck is weird in a lot of unique ways, but if we draw the right card here, Will, we could definitely take over this game still. It's just a matter of getting the Capicaneer potentially down as the good boy hits the battlefield.
Yes, love this card. We're going to untap. Good turn. Access to 4 mana for the turn if needs be. I do see I think maybe double Solitude in hand, actually, and an Ephemerate and a Consign to Memory. So hand's looking pretty good. How are we going to utilize this for the W? Only one creature on the board being Memnite that we even care about. And do we even care about it? Nope, we're going to blink it straight out.
Yep. And this just allows us to get in. Felio is really great in this deck with that Quantum Riddler we spent a lot of time talking about at the beginning, as weapon manufacturing is hit off the Ragavan. It's a great way to sort of just once again, have a cheap threat that then enables these other synergies that can also help take over the game. I mean, imagine we were activating Urza Saga here, right? We just start flickering away those construct tokens. This card has a lot of really hidden power that you just don't really get on the first read. And as you play with it more and more, you realize, oh, wow, this is a good dog.
We've also got the ability, and then we didn't speak about this actually, of the consign. You can consign the trigger whenever you blink out, right? So it doesn't come back, which is a really nice way of getting some of these big threats off the board. But are we just having to pass the turn back again? I think we might see a hard cast Solitude here.
Maybe, yeah. I think we drew Metallic Rebuke in hand for Andrew, so at least there is a play, and we know there's that Capicaneer that we drew on our first draw step of the game. So you're a land or a 0 mana artifact away from playing it, and if this is a hard cast, we might just see Metallic Rebuke here.
Yeah, we're going to see it. So we tap 2 artifacts plus 1 blue, makes them you have to pay 3. The old mana leak effect. Don't have the mana, so it is going to go to the bin. But if that's the best you got, if that's going to be your whole turn, great. Flick it out, connect with the Ragavan again. Another 4 points of damage is going to happen. What is
Oh, you don't know Gix's Claw?
Is that the one where you gain 1 life when you sacrifice an artifact?
Yeah, it's a 0 mana sack something gain a life. Would have been, a Capicaneer here. Claws of Gix, excuse me. I guess, Gix's Claw is, it's all the same. It's his claw.
What's the original printing of this?
Chat,
help us out.
I want to say it's Antiquities. or something like I think I don't know, like it's like an old set. I'm pretty sure.
I'd believe you. I'd believe you. That's what I mean. I think it's something like an old set, but it's got reprinted in Time Spiral Remastered. Going to pass the turn back after I land again. 5 mana up, so we can hard cast that Solitude if needs be. Consign still in hand, and of course that Ephemerate.
Yeah, and the consign is the part that I think we really like. We talked about before, but with the Kappa Cannoneer trigger and everything, that card normally comes down and it would be very hard to answer. You could evoke your Solitude here in order to answer it, in this situation, pay the 4, but it would still just be a pretty big ask. Here, we actually have it covered a couple different ways. So Andrew kind of needs to have running good cards, but this deck does have the ability to do that pretty easily. You rip a Thought Cast, you rip another Kappa, you just keep the train going, eventually get a Shadow Spear maybe. So we'll have to see what Andrew wants to do here on this turn. It looks like he does have some decision. I guess it's really a matter.
But really, okay, so we do have the 0 mana, so it's another Engineer Explosives, and then here comes the Cannoneer, the namesake card deck. Not as powerful on turn 5 or 4, whatever we're on right now, but it's still a really powerful threat itself. Maybe we can get that on the screen so everyone can have a little look at that if you haven't seen this one in a while.
I got to push back a little bit. I mean, I know you just said we can't answer it, but answering it does involve using a lot of cards. I think this is the thing. Obviously, this on turn 2 is almost unbeatable. This here is it's frustrating still, right? And I think that's one of the appeals to this deck. Andrew Mold to 5 hasn't done much. And if we didn't have a Solitude here, this card would be pretty serious at stabilizing. So I'm interested to see here what Cliff wants to do. I'm surprised a little to see the shock land. I kind of thought we might. Oh, we hard cast the Claw of Gix. We can sack our treasure. That is funny.
So we're going to do this to what? Take out the Memnite. Are we planning to flicker it with our?
Yeah, we're going to flicker and then probably consign the Ward Trigger or something along those lines. We have a Ephemerate in hand. I do think if Cliff was going to do this, we probably should have done it in response to the Engineered on 0. It's just one of those things where the only thing that matters is Kappa Cannoneer, but not the end of the world.
Can we not attack with all, flicker the Cannoneer, pay the 4, get the treasure token, then consign the trigger to come when it comes back in?
Yeah, you could totally do that as well. We ended up drawing Quantum Riddler, so I imagine Cliff's going to be a little excited to just get a bunch of cards here, but we'll have to see exactly what happens.
So we're going to just... Oh, we're going to Ephemerate and then consign the Ward Trigger?
Yeah, I think that's what's going to... Because we drew Riddler, I think your line's actually better if we hadn't drawn Riddler, but now we just get a bunch of cards.
Consign that, pay the 4, consign that trigger. You can gain 5 life. Sure. We're going to see the Ephemerate's going to go to the Exile Zone. Remember, that's got a rebound. Then last one is going to be a Riddler. Draw 2, of course, because we draw 1 but less now. We're just scooping it up. We're not even going to get to that point here. Have your card back. That was a nice, clean game 1 there if you're on the side of Cliff and this Jeskai Blink deck. But that mulligan really did hurt. Not seeing that second land drop for so long was just a bit too much. But while they go to sideboard and shuffle back up, we're going to move across and have a look at Standard. See how that's going along, where we are going to have, I think it's Kyle versus Grayson.
Oh, it looks like Standard is in the middle of sideboarding, so we're going to check out Spider-Man real quick.
All right. What's your favorite Spider-Man suit?
What's my favorite Spider-Man suit? I mean, it's probably the symbiote suit for being real. I mean, there's a reason, it's a classic.
The right answer was Iron Spider-Man, but it's fine.
Sure.
I'll let you off this one time. Chat, let me know what's your favorite Spidey suit. I do like the 2099 as well. Let's be honest. That one just looks really, really cool, I think.
Yeah, that one's cool. All right, let's go look at the Standard players touch their cards as they might start playing.
We got like the stream round 1, curse where everyone decides to sideboard at once, all taken down, but you see the split there. Oh, we're going into game 3 over in Standard already.
Yeah, so you see Grayson Nimitz here on the mono red ley line deck. I have to imagine one of these 2 games, Grayson just turned 2 or 3 Kyle, given how quickly these games are going. And then probably Kyle, ran Grayson out of cards. Maybe Grayson mulligan to 6 or whatever, had a ley line. It got answered somehow via Kyle. That's just my, professional assumption of how quick these games have gone. These players know each other. They're both very, very prolific here on the NRG series. And Grayson this year is trying to make a big run at things. Will wants to beat the all-time points leaderboard record, and has this weekend and next weekend's online event, which we could pull up really quickly here and talk about as we're waiting.
Let's look at the leaderboard. This is the leaderboard.
Yeah.
Up to talk me through it.
Yeah, so I mean, Grayson is in first place here. Names in orange are already qualified for end of the year event. Grayson has 153 points. I want to say, and don't quote me on this exactly, it's 170 is the all-time leaderboard point race. So if Grayson has a good finish this weekend, it could at least tie, if not maybe surpass that leaderboard. Will Kowalski is playing today and is our first at-large bid here. And the top 3 players whose names are not orange at the end of next weekend's online sealed event will be going to our end of the year champ event. We'll see if we can get that pulled up real quick as these players are finishing shuffling up here.
The end of the year championship, so it rewards everybody for sticking with it, right? Playing in all the series, getting all the points. Yes, you don't spike that one event, but you do consistently well across the board. If you can get enough points and get to that at the end of the year, that is a 24-player invite-only event with, is it 25,000 or 35,000 cash prize and a pro tour invite? $25,000. Take that all day long. But of course, everyone wants that pro tour invite. Rub shoulders with the pros because you will be one yourself as players look at the opening 7. Now, I don't know who's going to be on the play on going into game 3 here, but what sort of cards do I need to see? Because I imagine it's all going to be down to how good is the Demir opening hand, right? They've got to slow down this mono red deck. We can't let it do its thing. We are the ones that are going to have the interaction. What cards do I want to see in my opening hand?
You want to, I mean, for mono red leyline, you want to see a creature, a leyline, and a pump spell, right?
That's easy. Red side easy. That's cool.
Yeah. That's what we're looking for. From the Demir side, we just want to have a lot of interaction. I mean, even a card like Duress can go a long way. Even if there's a leyline, right? We're seeing Grayson mulligan here. This deck does want a mulligan, and it makes up for the mulligans. If you have a leyline draw, that doubles all your pump spells. So we could even see Kyle do something like, turn 1 Duress, turn 2, hold up a counter or a kill spell. And sometimes that can be enough. This deck does need the correct mixture of all the pieces. When it has all those pieces, it's unbelievably strong.
All right, well, let's have a little look. In the hands of a seasoned vet like Grayson, he's going to know what he needs to look for. How important is the ley line? Is it like, can we still have broken games without a ley line? Are we still going to be super explosive, or is in this case, we don't need it?
That's kind of the issue, right? Like you're a pump spell plus like creature deck, and those can have fast games, but the turn 2, turn 3 stuff, that is really only doable with the leyline or perfect draws.
Here comes a slick shot show off. That's going to go into plot. Now, this is a really good card that we've seen in these mono red decks, right? Like, because it's a lot of the time you play against control decks and they have like some sort of cat magic or 1-for-1 you. This is a way of us to be able to set up for a big turn, the next turn almost. And on the flip side, we're going to see a Deep Karen Bats is going to come down, show us the hand. We get to take one of those cards, put it into underneath the bats, and it's going to be there until we finish. Looking at that hand, I think we've got a Lynx and 2 pump spells, 2 different ones.
There was, and an Electro is also in hand, which Kyle's reading again. Basically, this card generates mana whenever you cast something, and mana doesn't leave pools. So, people have freaked out when they saw it with VV.
Oh, yeah.
But
that's spicy. All right, Slick Shot's going to come down. We're going to pump it. It's not a mouse, so I don't think it's a mouse, right?
Nope. No, you
just make sure. Bird Wizard.
Yep.
Pump, and then I think that might be the headliner.
Yes, yeah. So this creature, you can sack itself to throw itself at something along with Mobilize 1. So it's a good way to kind of, have a little bit of removal in your deck and also kind of push some damage.
Especially with the pump spells, you can be able to pump it up quite a lot to get something off the board if needed. I think Modern, we are just got back to drawing our own in hand. So I think this game's going to be over one way or another pretty quickly on this side, but we'll keep up there. Let's move across to the Modern seat and have a look how that one's going to be kicking off. As of course, we're going to have Affinity on the play, 1 game down. Yeah, again, just land go, but it looks like we kept 7s on both sides this time.
Yeah, and it looks like if Andrew's keeping 7 and is going land go, we either have a much slower hand, which sometimes you can have post board, or we're trying to present like a turn 2 Kappa. Flip that, sink into stupor, Andrew. Chop.
No, I play it just like this as well. I'm like, no, it's effort. I'll damage my sleeves, inner sleeves, yada.
Not in the NRG feature match area. You don't chop. Before someone in Twitch chat says, why is there a spell on the battlefield? Cracking the whip.
Mason's got that like a button on his desk that he just presses every time he goes off, like security.
I'm adding the feature match judge right now on Discord. I will get this flipped.
All right, we're going to surveil. We like that card. We're going to leave it on top. Then we're going to play a fetch for the turn and just pass it back. So just a couple of lands for both our players starting off. Bit of posturing for position, maybe. When's going to be the opportune moment to go for it? Because we are in a sideboard match now, so they have access to a lot of different cards. I'm having a little look at what we could be bringing in over on the affinity side. That Blood Moon? Is Blood Moon going to be good in this matchup?
Blood Moon can be good. If Cliff can fetch around it, pardon me there, but it's not the end of the world.
We've got Vexing Bauble. That seems like a nice one when my opponent's got Solitudes in the deck. Ooh. Looks like I see 6 things being turned sideways. And then it's just going to be counted for 1 mana. Oh, a Mystical Dispute. Pay 3. Nope. Goes to the bin. Okay, we stop the first big threat. That's step 1. Then we're going to go fetch up, Veil. Have another look at the top of our deck. I think maybe the beginning of the year, end of last year, we were talking about Surveil lands and how much of an impact they're having in Modern, and everyone was like playing 1. What do you reckon everyone's playing now? What's the right number to play in different decks? Because I see a lot of them, more than 1 these days.
Yeah, it really depends on the type of deck you're playing, right? Like a certain type of deck, like let's say you're someone that doesn't have a lot of 1 or 2 drops. Well, having an extra Surveil lane can be a great sort of thing that can supplement your turn 1 play, especially for graveyard synergy. You're trying to curve out, want a little less on the Surveil lands. It really depends on the type of deck you're playing and sort of your graveyard synergies and all factors in between here. We see a lot of, I think, 3 Surveil lands from these Jeskai and Blink decks because they're trying to play a longer interactive game and they don't have a ton of 1 drops. They have Ragavan. That's kind of it for things they really want to proactively do on turn 1.
Look at the man. It's crazy to see how like lands now are utilized in the game opposed to it's just being a resource to be able to cast my things. Now we've got things like Arena of Glory, these Surveil lands, the sagas. It's just a whole extra, game plan to a lot of different decks moving forward. And I actually personally really love that that's an element to it, unless you're playing Titan and then I just don't know what you're doing with your craziness when you go off. I just ask you if I'm dead or not and you tell me yes. All right, great. But here comes a Riddler. It's going to come down 2 mana. We're drawing our card, and then we're going to consign the warp trigger at the end to keep the 4/5 body on the battlefield.
Yeah, and right now this isn't going to do anything besides being a 4/6 flyer, which is great. Do not get me wrong. But as we deploy our hand here, eventually getting this Riddler on the board is going to really pay off. It looks like we kept a slower hand that's just going to chain Kappa Cannoneers, and I have to see if Cliff can actually answer these Kappas as we are down that consign.
I think I do see another consign. I think I saw one. Maybe that's why we threw one down. But
I think Cliff's looking at discarding their whole hand to mark the Worldly Light to kill the Kappa Cannoneer, and then consign the trigger, and then the Riddler would draw 2 cards.
I don't hate it.
I don't know if I hate it or not, but I know that I probably would not have thought of this until this moment as like a line that comes up.
So if I discard, so we exile the Flage for the Solitude. Then what? Then we've got the Ephemerate in hand. Oh my word! All right, let's see how this lines up.
Yeah, I think I like better ephemerating the Solitude. It looked like there was a march that got kind of flicked to the front. I get where your head's at on that one, but you can just use that on one of these Mishra's Bauble or something because you want to get your hand low.
So this is going to come in, but can we not just use the consign to do both triggers here?
Yeah, you definitely can. If you do both triggers, though, then you don't have 1 card in hand to draw an extra from Quantum Riddler.
But you just use the Ephemerate on the Riddler to give yourself 1 card in hand.
Yeah, sure. That works too. Yeah, that's a great point.
There's so many cards going on.
Yeah.
We're only at turn 4, chaps. Come on, calm down here. This is crazy. This is cool, though. I love to see it. So Solitude is in play. The Flage has been exiled. I haven't spoke about Flage in you yet, but here we are. Mm-hmm. That is going to target, is going to target the Cannoneer. Ward trigger is going to go on the stack. So that's 2 triggers. Oh, no. Because the Evoke trigger is also on the stack at this point.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know what... it looks like Cliff's a little anxious here to do this play. I think maybe Cliff's realizing I could get Force Negation.
So I'm going to consign both of these triggers. That's going to work. We can see the dice just flicked off. We're going to gain 5 life for our troubles, though. So that's going to put us up to 25. Of course, we're still in our draw step. We haven't drawn a card for the turn yet. 2 cards in hand. We'd ideally want to get one of these down. We could just get one of these 0 mana artifacts off the board as well if we want to.
Yeah, I think I would just march the Bauble. just get rid of the bauble and draw 2 cards. What
Yeah.
else are you going to use the march on? Like,
Ooh, oh, we didn't do it. Okay, we just drew the one.
yeah, maybe really valuing the ability to ephemerate here, but I really like the idea of just marching this bauble.
So do I, especially when I don't have another land drop in hand. Because if we hit another land here as well, it would have been great because then we can still potentially have ephemerate up afterwards. But nope, I think it was a consign we drew. So a lot, 3 different 1-drops in hand, which is nice.
Yeah, once again, remember, consign, it does have some targets that can counter, but at this point, there are not many you actually want to counter when it comes to Andrew's deck. Maybe a Shadow Spear if there's a big creature on the board, but I have Flage on top of the deck for Cliff.
Good eyes. I didn't even ping that.
Yeah.
Not what you want to see when your opponent's got 3 mana up. Pass the turn. Draw off my bauble. Was it? Of course, I don't know why I'm surprised. Of course, you'd know what a Flage looks like from the tiny corner in the and the weird angle with lighting on it. Yeah, of course you.
I'm a professional at what I do. Okay.
Galvanic Blast.
Sometimes you gotta start blasting, Will.
Is this ephemerate proof? Yeah, we're going to ephemerate this. At least we've got a target. It's going to take out the March. So the Memnite, sorry. Which means I'm going to gain life, but then I'm going to lose another 4. So that's going to jump down to 18 if my math is correct. Still 3 cards in hand. One's consign, one's that March, and a Flage. It's going to go on a little adventure. And this is the nice thing about having Riddlers on the board, right? Like, yeah, okay, there's no creatures right now, so this Ephemerate's not really going to do much when it comes back. But having that Riddler, we can just draw some more cards. Seems great.
Yeah.
We're going to, I think that's a fire, is it? So we're going to crack that straight away to draw a card. No, we're just going to get a handshake. That's going to be too much. So that means it looks like in our standard matchup, Dimir Control was able to take it down. In modern, Jeskai Blink took it down. So it's all going to come down to some Spider-Man sealed as we move across, going into game number 2 for both of these players. This is going to be an interesting one.
Game number 3. I was going to say they were sideboarding when we had started. Yeah, I was like, how are they not started their game yet? All right, so yeah, this is sealed action from the Spider-Man set. This set designed for draft pick 2, so it's going to be a little interesting when it comes to power level because your synergies, you're expecting to get more of it, and so even in sealed, right, when like you have some powerful combinations, they're going to be really, really big.
All right, well, I'm just going to say that I can't make that card out because of the glare, not because I'm not super up to date on the All right, so what are the big main powerhouse bombs that came out of this set? Any come to mind? I know there's the nice Spider-Man one where you can exile someone from a graveyard and
the Spider-Man.
Yeah, that one's really cool. I like seeing that one, but of course a lot of legendaries in this set, which is kind of making it a little spicy when it comes to sealed.
Mm-hmm.
A mob lookout.
Yeah, and this is one of these cards that just kind of nice and limited, right? Entering and getting to connive is really great and potentially grows a creature, as we are seeing here. I believe this is the lifelink you actually see in Vintage Cube, or the Arena Cube, pardon me. That is on the board here, whose name I forget because it's got a different name in the different places, which is fun.
It's interesting for us to cover. It's like, oh, that's that card that I know from online that's not in paper. That's okay.
Mm-hmm.
A Common Crook.
Okay, this was not the card I thought it was, but Common Crook, not bad either. And you're seeing so far here, it looks like Chris has got a bunch of pretty solid cards. Nothing that you're going to write home about, but they all can go a little bit towards the victory.
I'm trying to see what the different synergies are. I know there's a villains deck that I think has been quite good, and I think that's what I drafted a few times leading up to it. Because let's be honest, who doesn't want to play all these villain cards? But they synergize well if you control a villain or this, that, and the other. Maybe that's what we're going to see. But in a sealed pool, you don't get the same options you get as a draft pool, right?
Yeah, in draft, I mean, when even with there only being 4 people at the table, you just see so many more cards, right? Because there's more packs opened. Obviously, you keep all your cards in a sealed deck and you open 6 packs, right? Compared to the 3 there. But, even in this situation, doubling the total number of packs opens means your synergies are more likely to come together. And the synergies are strong. And I'm really interested to see how this set plays out sealed-wise, just because it is designed with the smaller draft environment in mind, which means your sealed deck might be stronger since, they designed it, I would guess, in a way where you need less synergies, right? Because you just are opening less than 8 packs. So
I'm having a look at some of the. So obviously, me and you were talking before the broadcast about let's. I think it's safe to say that we're a little nerdy at times, especially when
Mhm,
it comes to Spider-Man and Marvel, and we
mhm.
like a lot of these characters and some of the characters that show up in them. But I don't think I have actually ever asked you what your favorite Marvel character is.
It's tough. I think the answer is Iron Man. Robert Downey Jr.'s performance is pretty iconic in that
Yeah.
way. I don't know a lot of the Iron Man comic or stuff as we see Shriek Troublemaker here pop up on your screen. Once again, totally reasonable card here. I know Chris has to have a rare somewhere in this deck, and I'm waiting to see it come down as it will probably swing this game dramatically in the
Oh, I
coming
love it.
months.
I love it. Swing this game, Spider-Man. No,
Mhm, mhm.
I love it. Here all
I'm a
weekend, ladies and
professional.
gentlemen.
I'm a professional. No, but
You've been waiting to say that.
yeah, the Spider-Man show is pretty iconic. Like, so I should say Spider-Man is pretty iconic. I mean, like, I grew up with the Sam Raimi stuff. I'm in my 30s. Also, the Spider-Man cartoon. I think as we see, can we just talk about the fact that we haven't seen a Spider-Man? All I hear
Yeah,
online is that every card in this set is Spider-Man, and I'm 9 cards deep, and I don't see a Spider-Man yet.
we found the rare though. So
Yeah, and
what's
this
this
is a strong rare if you read it.
equipment? When attached to target creature you control, gets +2/+2, and has whenever this creature deals damage to a player, draw a card for each modified
Modified.
creature you control. Okay, so it's some sort of equipment deck would make, but also +1/+1 counters count as modified, right?
Yeah, exactly. +1 counters count as modified. We can see a lot of random auras get made a lot of times in sets. So it's really +2/+2 draw a card anytime you hit somebody. But yeah, anytime you sort of buff them up or add counters to them, we're going to see it. And there's the cheering crowd. That's you all in Twitch chat on a card. Make sure to follow along. That way you don't miss any of the action. And this card has a Spider-Man in the art with a little heart. But yeah,
How have we not got a Twitch secret layer yet? Of all the secret layers, that feels like that'd be one quite at the top of the spec. You could get it up there. That would be quite easy to work out and benefit a lot of people.
yeah, I think if I was going to make a secret layer right now, I would do the Red and 6/7 secret layer, really be on top of the culture.
Oh, okay,
But,
okay. Oh, I said for a long time, for the last couple of years, that I would love to see like a Turtles secret layer, and obviously now we're getting a whole set of Turtles. That was my
yeah,
comment growing up.
congratulations.
I did not have any inside information then. I doubt Wizards listened to me, but I'm a big fan of that. So it's gonna be interesting to see when that comes out. If the cards are going to be, hopefully, they'll have some modern playables and staples in there. If not, we get to at least have a pizza box full of Magic cards. Why
Yeah,
wouldn't we?
yeah, it does seem like their strategy is to appeal to people like you, Will, in their late 40s when it comes to these.
Well, late 40s. Come on. Jeez. Uh,
Sorry, mid 40s.
oh my
45 is
goodness.
not over the halfway point yet. I
It's,
agree. I
it's
agree.
brutal. Just 'cause, look, I just got a little bit of grey in the old beard now. It's okay. I didn't realize I had a
Yeah.
grey beard until I was actually grew a beard, but
Yeah. Hey,
but
don't look at the side of my head when it comes to grays,
it's fine. We're just experienced. That's all it is.
hmm
And
hmm
we get a fire removal spell off here. I'm just seeing a couple of like
It looks pretty
soup decks.
blast.
You say like I what's in your seal pool? I just played 4-color soup, 5-color soup. It just
Mhm.
means that we've got a couple, a lot of different filter lands. We're just trying to play the best colors that we possibly can that are going to be work well together. Because in seal, sometimes just having that big mythic bomb can run away with that game for you if you're able to get it on the board. Looking at you, what's the 3-mana planeswalker? Green blue one.
I'm sorry.
What was
You're
it called?
just green, blue, 3 mana Oko, Thief of Crown.
Oko, that's the one I was thinking of. Oh my god. I played against that in sealed once, and oh my god, that was
You could
not a
have just
fun
said I played
time.
against that card once.
That card was not good to play against in sealed. I was like, oh cool. Oh, okay, yeah, this game.
Yeah,
Oh,
as we do. I mean, this happens a lot in sealed decks too, right? Like you just sort of have the best removal and creatures that you do open, and they're a lot less, synergistic and kind of flashy than you would see in a draft, which we'll have later today, right? Like the draft is going to often lead to a much more, synergy-driven deck. You still see obviously some good stuff piles. It is limited, but as Mysterio Masters of Illusion comes down, this card's no joke.
no, that's a pretty good bomb. But the problem we're having over on Chris's side, sorry, is no land drops right now. You look here, we've missed our land drop for the last 3 turns or so. Looks like have we got some crazy madness shenanigans going on here?
Yeah, it does look like we just killed Mysterio, which does kill the clone copy. That can be one of the harder parts about this is, you get a bunch of 3/3s here off Mysterio, but
But that
those are
was
going to
enough
go.
for lethal. Take the blockers out of the way, turn everything sideways. That's 6 damage. Just going to seal that up, and that's going to take the win for Kyle, Andrew, and Chris here.
Yep. Well, congratulations to Chris. Well played. And, Andrew had some tough draws with Affinity there, but that's the beauty of team events, right? Is sometimes think you can trip up, but your homies got your back, and they're going to move on to 1-0 in our 6th round event today.
I always say that that's the key to any team event. Is just find better players than you to team with, so they can carry you the whole weekend. And that's always been my game plan up to now. And we're 10 years deep. So, but that is going to be it for this round. But before we go, we're going to talk about some more things that we've got coming up this week because we're going to have an interview. But also, there is a Magic Online event which NRG are partnering with Magic Online with. So that's another way that we're going to be able to get on that leaderboard to the not to leaderboard to the end of year event and get to the championships, which looks like the players moved across way quicker than they normally do for us. So they're going to be coming and sit down, and we're going to go to an interview with our winning team. So how are we doing, team? Congratulations on taking down round number 1. You're here with Mason and Will. And I'm going to kick off with just asking you all, how did you all pick who's in what seat this weekend?
All the formats suck, and I wanted to play Limited more than the other 2 formats.
And I didn't want to play Mod.
And I got Affinity, so I just played Modern.
Starting on a positive note there, lads. All right, okay, next question's coming from Mason.
Okay, PR training coming that way. Anyways, when it comes to picking Affinity here, as this was the match we did start on, we saw a little bit of the other 2. You mentioned you had Affinity. Is this a deck you used to play before the Mox Opal banning? Did you pick it up after the Pro Tour? What kind of led you to Affinity?
I've played Affinity since Modern began.
Great. Awesome. Well, glad to see the Mox Opal ban coming through for the people who love Affinity.
I reckon we should still call it Robots, like we did back in the day. Like that literally was the first deck I ever picked up because it was called Robots. I was like, that sounds amazing. And then obviously I turns out I suck at playing, so I couldn't play it as bad. But well, let's go over to standard. We talked about modding. You picked that. That's the reason for that. Why are we picking this standard deck? Obviously, there is a favorite deck in standard at the minute. That is the Almighty. That is picking up all the great results. And the other deck seems to be tailored to beat that deck when it can. Was that your thinking going into this weekend, or we're going to play this, or is it just you didn't want to play, Vivi Mirrors left, right, and center?
I don't think I would be very good in the VV mirrors. I'm very underprepared compared to all these other players that play VV. And I didn't want to play red because that's also not type of my play style. I've been playing this whole RCQ season like the Sultai control deck. And before the red deck broke out, it was a pretty good deck in the format, I think. But ever since red, since my links and all their other shenanigans, the mana base just can't cooperate with that as much. And then I also found myself losing to a lot of the control decks at the time. So I decided to drop the green entirely and decided to play just a straight up blue-black control deck. Then I see a lot of these lists playing Stab as like their 1-mana removal spot. I just don't think that's good enough into this field. With the field of Screaming Nemesis, FOMO, and Mako being a little bit bigger, getting out of range pretty quickly, I thought Caustic Exhale was the best 1-mana removal spell in the format, so I lent more into a dragon package. And I think it's pretty good into the format. I've done a lot of my testing online, so. Well,
interesting. Yeah, it's nice to see. It's nice to see a fresh change to it, and also you've kind of adapted, with the meta and what you think is going to be good. So that's really, shows how good testing in general can be leading into these big events. And next questions from Mason.
Yeah, I'm going to throw it back to standard really quick because I think a lot of people who are interested in standard are really looking forward to the assumed banning of VV coming up here in a couple of days. Maybe they don't. Who really knows? How do you feel your deck is, though, versus like the non-VV type stuff? Obviously, right, VV leaves, everything changes a little bit. But day one, I make you play your deck. Are you feeling pretty good about things? Do you think you can adapt? Or is it kind of like, maybe I need to have the right metagame?
I think this deck can adapt very easily. You have a lot of cards in the standard pool where you can just swap things very in and out very easily. Obviously, my list is catered towards this current meta, but as like the meta currently evolves, you can definitely tweak it where maybe you don't want the dragon package. You can be more just a regular control deck with very little threats and maybe rely on like your mana base as a win condition. But otherwise, I think it will be fine regardless of the ban at all. If once VV goes, the deck will be fine. VV's here. I think the deck is fine.
Okay, that's interesting. Right, well, we'll let you shoot off. I've got one last question for you all, though, because we've had the modern question, we've had the standard question. This is technically, I guess, a limited question. What's your favorite Spider-Man suit? All of you, tell me which was your favorite.
2099.
Nice.
I would have to go with the Porky Pig one.
Okay.
Oh, Spider Ham.
Spider Ham.
That's right.
I'll agree with Chris. Spider Ham is great.
Fair one. It's a solid pick. Well, congratulations again, gentlemen. Starting off the day exactly how you want to, and hopefully we'll see you in the top 8 a little bit later on.
Thank you.
Thank you. As we're moving back to the booth, and we, they were saying about that, how about testing and how that's really helped them and improve it. Well, you can do that online these days, and NRG are partnering with the Magic Online to bring yourself another series, another way to get to the end of year event. Mason, talk me through it.
Yeah, so November 9th, that's next weekend for everybody. You can go on Magic Online and play a sealed Edge of Eternities event, $2,500 in prize pool, and the winner, and this is the crazy part, goes to our NRG champs. We talk about this all year, everybody, how there's, this end of year $25,000 invite only PTQ going on that we're throwing, and we've partnered with Magic Online to bring this to you all from the comfort of your home. Now, small caveat, you need to be in the United States or Canada for this first event here in order to qualify for our event. So unfortunately, everyone else in the world, you cannot play. But if you are in one of those two places, you can play this and skip the line. You're really good at sealed. You're a soul Maka out there. All you do is play limited. Well, this is your time to come battle it out, and we'll see at the end of the year event. And we're doing this with Magic Online. We're so excited to partner with Daybreak. This has been a year in the making. We have been working tirelessly to bring you, the players, more chances to play Magic and more chances to play on our series and get involved. And we're so excited. So you can scan that QR code on your screen. When you go to the website, you will sign up and you will give us an email. And then next week, so right before the event, you're going to get a token that you basically will plug in your Magic Online account. And then with that token, it will let you have access to the event. You do need to sign up on the NRG website. So use this QR code or go to the NRG website. You can also go to their Twitter. Their Twitter has it as well, along with other social media platforms. All those will get you there. This also has an account upgrade kit. So if you don't have a Magic Online account, you want to get into one, this is a great way to sort of get one on the cheap as well. And to top it all off, Will, everyone who enters also gets a draft token. So you just get one free draft. And this is cheaper than most actual sealed events are if you were to play in paper, and you're getting a draft. And if you didn't have a Magic Online account already, you get the upgrade kit. There's just so much value on the table, not even counting those cash prizes and that end of the year. I mean, the equity for playing in champs is insane, right? If there's $25,000 in prizes, I mean, in a 25 or 24 person field, you do the math on what the average person's going to get, right? It's pretty exciting.
It's going to be a good EV either way. And as I just want to emphasize on working with the Magic Online, this is almost like it's the first I can think of that as someone partnering with the online platform. So now you can do it from watching at home. So I understand the America and Canada are pretty big places. Is that fair to assume, being a Brit living on a very small island across the big sea?
Well, according to the world maps that I see, we're really big, which is, of course, a 1-to-1 ratio thing.
It is pretty big, but sometimes you can't get travel to to the NRG events. Maybe travel accommodations, but being able to do this and do it from your own home and play at these events. And if this goes well, maybe there'll be more throughout next year moving forward. I don't know. I don't actually have no idea the plans on this, but I know how cool this is, and where the ceiling cap for it could be is really huge. So hopefully this goes really well. Hopefully we get to see the person qualify from this in the championship at the end of the year, and they get to walk away with some sweet prizes. So again, shout out to Daybreak Games, shout out to Nerd Rage Gaming for working alongside them, and say years worth of work went into this. So let's support it. If you've found a competitive formats and watching great streams, this is the sort of thing that we need to get behind and push it forward. Right, what else we got going on then? It's the end of the round, but I do want to talk one more thing. I did have something I wanted to talk about in here. The end of year invite. That's where we keep saying about it, but I'm not. Do we have a graphic for that production?
We do not have a graphic right now, and we actually need to take a break to set up our next feature match. So we're going to go to break, and we'll be back in just a couple minutes. See you soon.